My name is Emily, and I grew up in a family that openly labeled me their midlife accident. On my 18th birthday, my parents cast me out to make room for my pregnant sister, but fate delivered a stunning comeback at her wedding. Let me paint a picture of my family's dynamics. My father, Richard, 65, is a mid-level manager who never dares to defy my mother, Susan, 63, a relentless corporate powerhouse. Then there's my sister, Laura, 32, who's 14 years older and has never shown me an ounce of care. I was an unplanned shock to their world. When Susan learned she was pregnant at 45, she thought it was menopause. She hoped for a different outcome, but by the time she saw a doctor, it was too late to change course. From what I've gathered through eavesdropped conversations and hushed family talks, my birth wasn't a joyful choice. Born prematurely with health complications, I spent more time in hospitals than at home. Susan barely visited, always citing critical work meetings. My father and Aunt Clara took turns watching over me. Aunt Clara became my family's beacon of light. She whispered words of hope through the incubator, saying, "You're going to be okay, little one. You're tougher than you realize." Those words still echo in my mind during tough times. When I finally left the hospital, my grandfather, Henry, stepped in. Recognizing our home wasn't suited for 2 kids, he bought a sprawling 5-bedroom mansion in one of Boston's finest neighborhoods, complete with a vast backyard. But no amount of luxury could bridge the emotional void in that house. With pristine white carpets, upscale furniture, and curated art, it felt like living in a gallery where I was an unwanted exhibit. By age 5, I had a vivid memory of Take Your Child to Work Day. My classmates were thrilled to visit their parents' workplaces, but when I asked Susan if I could join her, she shot me a look that made me feel foolish. "Don't be absurd, Emily," she snapped. "I have critical meetings all day. You'd only get in the way." Instead, I spent the day with Aunt Clara at her cozy art studio, where she let me paint and hung my work on her walls, making me feel valued. School became my sanctuary. I dove into academics and joined every club possible to avoid going home. Teachers called me a quiet, well-mannered child, not knowing I was terrified of being a burden at home. Laura, already in college during my early school years, showed no interest even during her brief holiday visits. She'd complain about my cluttered kid stuff, taking over her old room. Grandpa Henry tried to fill the void left by my parents' indifference. He'd visit from Canada every few months, bringing thoughtful gifts like sketchpads or books tailored to my interests. But his efforts couldn't mend the broken family dynamic. Susan's parenting style was to throw money at problems: dance classes, private tutors, anything to keep me occupied. Attending my recitals or school meetings. "Sorry, urgent meeting, can't reschedule." My achievements were met with, "That's nice, dear. Now be quiet. I'm on a call." Richard wasn't much better. He'd promised Susan he'd help with me if she kept the pregnancy, but he was always too busy or too tired. I once counted how many times he said, "Not now, Emily." Over a weekend, 15 times. On my 10th birthday, they forgot entirely. When Aunt Clara reminded them, they ordered an expensive cake and handed me cash without asking what I wanted. Laura didn't even call. The real celebration happened the next day at Clara's, with a homemade cake and decorations she knew I'd love. By 12, I overheard a heated argument between my parents. Susan, likely on her 3rd glass of wine, said, "She's so needy, always craving attention." "This wasn't what I wanted," Richard replied. "What do you expect me to do? We can't send her back." After that, I spent more time at Aunt Clara's. Her warm, modest home became my true haven. She helped with homework, taught me to bake, and listened to my dreams and fears, things my parents never cared to know. At Clara's, I was Emily, loved and valued. At home, I was the burden, the outsider. I learned to navigate these 2 worlds like switching channels. Grandpa Henry noticed and started depositing money into a private account for me, saying, "Just in case, the world can be unpredictable." I didn't realize how right he'd be. At 18, counting down to college and surviving the emotional desert of home, my parents dropped a bombshell. We have exciting news," Susan said brightly. "Laura's pregnant and getting married." Richard added, "We're going to be grandparents." I forced a smile, confused why they expected me to be thrilled. Then Susan continued, "We'll be busy with wedding plans. Laura and her husband will need space for the baby when they move in." Clicked. The measuring tape in my room, their hushed talks, their sudden interest in my college plans. They were planning my exit. As their excitement grew over their real family reuniting, I braced for the upheaval, unaware of how fate would soon intervene. Update 1. How my parents erased me on my 18th birthday. Let me recount how my parents officially cut me out on my 18th birthday. That morning, Aunt Clara made her signature birthday waffles and gave me heartfelt gifts: a journal, art supplies, and a handmade scrapbook of our memories. Grandpa Henry surprised me with a new smartphone and a note. Keep it close and record anything important. He asked me to join a live video call, which I didn't know would capture evidence that changed everything. When I got home, something felt wrong. The house smelled of fresh paint, and it was too quiet. My heart raced as I climbed the stairs to my room, where the door, usually left open, was shut. Opening it, I nearly dropped my phone. My room was gone. The walls, once covered with my posters and sketches, were now a soft green. My bed was replaced by a fancy crib, stuffed animals were everywhere, and my desk was now a rocking chair with a woodland theme. Footsteps approached. My parents emerged, startled to see me recording. "Emily, what are you doing here?" Susan demanded. "Why are you filming?" Still reeling, I stammered. "My room. What happened? Where's my stuff?" Richard cleared his throat. "We've decided to give this room to Laura's baby. It's perfect for a nursery with all the light, and our first grandson deserves it." Susan cut in, glowing. "Laura's having a boy. The son your father always wanted." Felt like a punch. "Where do I sleep? Where's my stuff?" I asked. Richard waved toward the stairs. "We boxed it up. It's in the garage. You should take it when you leave." "Leave?" I choked. "This is my home." Susan's smile faltered. "Emily, dear, there's no space for you now with Laura, her husband, and the baby coming. You're 18. Time to stand on your own." Couldn't believe it. "No," I said, voice shaking. "This is my home. You can't pretend I don't exist." Susan snapped. "Stop being difficult. This is about family, not you." Tears streamed as I shouted, "I am your family. I'm your daughter. It's my birthday, and you're kicking me out. Did you even remember?" Richard rolled his eyes. "Your birthday? Is that why you're acting out? We don't have time for this." As I sobbed, Susan eyed my phone. "Stop making a scene," she hissed. "The neighbors will hear." "Good," I shot back. "Let them see who you really are." Richard grabbed my arm, his grip bruising. "That's enough," he growled, dragging me downstairs. "Get out and don't come back." The door slammed, leaving me on the porch with my belongings in haphazard boxes. I don't know how long I cried, but Grandpa Henry's voice cut through. "Emily, sweetheart, I saw it all. We'll fix this. Go to Clara's and keep that video safe." Clara was waiting when I arrived, pulling me into a warm hug. She insisted on celebrating my birthday, ordering my favorite food and inviting friends to make it special. But we all knew this was bigger than a ruined birthday. It was my life being upended. That night, in Clara's guest room, now called my room, Grandpa emailed me. His lawyer had saved the live stream. "The wedding's in 3 days, he wrote. "Be ready. Fate sometimes needs a nudge." Update 2. Karma hits at Laura's wedding. Aunt Clara insisted we attend Laura's wedding, uninvited. She dressed me in a stunning teal dress she'd bought, saying, "We belong there. Besides, Henry invited us." At the venue, I spotted Grandpa at a front table, sharp in his tailored suit. His plan's a mystery, but his intent clear. Justice. The ceremony was flawless, as my parents envisioned. Laura glowed in her lavish gown, her groom seeming nice but overwhelmed. Susan and Richard beamed, playing the perfect family. At the reception, they worked the crowd, bragging about their pregnant daughter and future grandson, seating us at the farthest table to avoid trouble. They didn't know what was coming. During the celebratory dinner, Grandpa stood, taking the microphone from a stunned best man. The room hushed. With calm authority, he said, "Friends, I apologize for interrupting, but a grave wrong must be addressed." What followed was a masterclass in retribution. He detailed my parents' neglect, from dismissing my existence to evicting me on my birthday. Clips from the live stream played on the venue's screen, exposing their cruelty in vivid detail. "These people discarded their daughter like trash for their new grandson," he thundered. Gasps filled the room as the video showed Richard's aggression and Susan's coldness. Guests' faces turned from shock to outrage. Some of Susan's closest friends left. Laura's mascara streaked as her groom fidgeted. When Susan tried to interrupt, Grandpa's icy glare silenced her. "I'm revising my will," he declared. "Clara and Emily get everything. Susan, Richard, Laura, you're cut off." Chaos erupted. Susan wailed. Richard's face turned crimson, and Laura sobbed about her baby's future. Several of Richard's business associates walked out, handing Grandpa their cards. Unbeknownst to my parents, Henry was a major investor in their professional circles. Susan's social network began unraveling as friends apologized and left. Laura's in-laws argued heatedly, and her groom stormed out, later consulting divorce lawyers to avoid the family's tarnished reputation. Those business cards? Richard's colleagues were seeking new investment opportunities. By night's end, Susan's client list was shrinking, and Richard's firm lost key investors. Grandpa smiled as we left. "Sometimes, The best revenge is letting people expose themselves, he said. I just ensured the right audience. Since then, my parents have flooded my phone with desperate pleas for reconciliation. They even tried showing up at Clara's, but I'd had enough. Looking at Clara, I said, I want you to be my legal guardian. With the video evidence, our lawyer said it was nearly guaranteed. My parents' reputation is shattered, their finances bleak, their social circle gone. Laura, still with them, watches her perfect life crumble, shunned by her in-laws. The nursery they evicted me for sits empty. Tomorrow, I'll file for a restraining order, an easy win with the video of Richard's aggression and their emotional abuse. Our lawyer says we could pursue a civil suit too. Grandpa was right. Fate needed a push, but watching my parents' facade collapse was worth every tear. Update 3. The fallout and my new beginning karma didn't just strike. It orchestrated a masterpiece of justice. The court hearing for Clara's guardianship and my restraining order came 2 weeks after the wedding. My parents played the role of doting parents, hiring a PR consultant to polish their image. Susan wore a modest dress, ditching her power suits, while Richard sported a fresh haircut and carried a Bible. They brought wealthy friends as character witnesses to vouch for their parenting. But we were ready. Our lawyer presented the birthday video and financial records showing they diverted over $200,000 of my support funds from Grandpa to their accounts and Laura's trust. The judge's face hardened as the video played. She paused the hearing to ask if I wanted to press criminal charges when it showed Richard dragging me out. I declined. Watching their world collapse was enough. Still, she referred the case to the DA for review. The ruling was brutal for my parents. Clara got full guardianship, and they were ordered to repay the misappropriated funds with interest. A restraining order barred them from coming within 500 feet of us. But their downfall didn't stop there. Richard's company audited him, uncovering shady decisions, and demoted him to a low-level role. Susan's career imploded as clients dropped her over ethical concerns after the video spread. Both lost their corner offices, now sharing cubicles with junior staff. Socially, they were ostracized. Their country club revoked their membership, friends avoided them, and their church sidelined them. Laura's husband filed for divorce, citing misrepresentation of family values. She lives with our parents, her designer maternity clothes replaced by budget ones, her dream nursery unused. Grandpa followed through, securing his wealth in a trust for Clara and me. Their house, owned by one of his companies, faces eviction, and their investments are frozen pending investigation. They've tried everything, therapy offers, apologies, even attempting to bribe Clara's neighbors to spy. Last week, their lawyer proposed a deal. They'd forgive me if I convinced Grandpa to restore their inheritance. Our lawyer laughed, reminding them the video and truth protect us from their defamation threats. For me, life has brightened. Clara's home is now mine permanently. We've painted my room in my favorite hues, hung my art, and built a cozy reading nook with string lights. For the first time, I have a real home. Grandpa set up a generous college fund, and I've been accepted to universities for next fall, planning to study psychology with a focus on family trauma. I volunteer at a youth shelter, helping teens from toxic homes, and started a blog to share my healing journey, connecting with others who relate. My parents' latest move was a legal letter threatening to sue for defamation unless I retract my lies. Our lawyer dismissed it, citing the video as undeniable truth. Reflecting on these months, I've learned family isn't always blood. Clara and Henry showed me love that asks only for my happiness. To those who supported me, your messages and stories gave me strength. You taught me standing up for myself isn't selfish and that I deserve respect. To anyone in toxic families, build a support network, document everything, and know you're worth more than their treatment. Blood doesn't justify abuse. I've legally changed my name, have a true home, and control my future as I head to college. Karma hits hard, and sometimes it needs a nudge. To my parents, if you're reading this, your perfect family image cost you everything, including the daughter you never valued. Thank you for sharing my journey to freedom.